call this meeting to order. This is the April 10, 2014 regular village board meeting for the village of Indian Head Park. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Andrews.
Present.
Trustee Schnaufer.
Here.
Trustee Welsh.
Here.
Trustee Bailey. Not present. Trustee Hinshaw.
Yes.
Trustee O'Loughlin.
Here.
Trustee Wittenberg.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to ask everybody to please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We remind everybody that this meeting is being videotaped by the village board, by the village, and it may be video and or audio taped by others present here tonight. Please silence your cell phones. First thing I'd like to point out is their consent agenda item. We're going to delete that. There is nothing to discuss or approve with respect to that. Next item is the mayor's report. I have basically three things. One is a reminder that a week from Saturday, April 19th at 11 a.m. we will have the annual Easter egg hunt for the kids in Black Hawk Park. So if you have a young one or friends or relatives or something, please let them know about that and bring them out. And trustees, anybody who appears to show up to help or their family, we appreciate that. And I also understand we will have the Easter Bunny present this year. The other thing is on April 26, 2014, the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District will have the Take Back of Unwanted Medicine initiative, and the local facility is the one in Stickney at 6001 West Pershing Road in Cicero. Again, Saturday, April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you have some unused stuff that you want to get rid of, that's the place to take it. And lastly, I attended with Administrator Brooks a meeting at the Township office with Township Assessor Barbara Wyrick with respect to the coming triennial reassessment of the southern tier of Cook County suburbs. The reassessments, I understand, will be in the mail on May 7th. And I've invited Assessor Wyrick to attend our May 8th board meeting. I don't know that she can do that yet, but I'm optimistic that she will be here to be able to make a little presentation to us. It was kind of interesting establishing, the point today was to show us what they call neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods are the areas which a person would, if you're going to appeal your reassessment, the assessor's office looks at comparables within your neighborhood, the neighborhood boundaries, and I found it interesting that, and I don't have a copy of the map, but I requested one. I don't know when we'll get it, but we have several different neighborhoods in Indian Head Park. So single family in Old Town is a bigger, different neighborhood that goes from Western Springs even south into Burr Ridge, and Acacia is its own neighborhood. 45 acres is a different neighborhood with part of that, I think it was a PUD, Burr Oaks Glen down here in Burr Ridge. So it's kind of interesting, and I think Assessor Wyrick may have some interesting information to share with us regarding the assessment, reassessment. And that is all I have under the mayor's report. So the next item of business will be approval of the financial report for the month ending February 28, 2014. Treasurer Busey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you mentioned tonight, I have the financial report for the month of February 2014. In the month of February, the revenues were $284,352.16. The expenditures, $235,241.75. At the end of February, in all funds, the village had $1,397,000 $116.66. I would like to add that on the March report, we will be seeing a continuation of a collection of real estate taxes, the first installment. That was for the 2013 taxes collected in 2014.
Okay, great.
That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments about the report? Trustees? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the financial report for the month ending February 28, 2014.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Schnapper, second by trustee Walsh. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Continue, chair. The ayes have it. Motion carries. The next item of business is the approval of board meeting minutes, the special board meeting minutes of March 6, 2014. Are there any additions or corrections on any of the first three pages? Pages 4 or 5? 6 or 7? 8, 9, or 10? Page 11? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve these minutes for the special board meeting of Thursday, March 6, 2014 as presented. Moved by trustee Schnapper, is there a second? Second by trustee Wittenberg. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any chair? The ayes have it. The minutes of March 6, 2014 are approved. Next item is the minutes of the regular board meeting from March 13, 2014. Are there any additions or corrections on any of pages 1, 2, or 3? Pages 4 or 5? 6 or 7? 8 or 9? 10, 11, or 12? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for Thursday, March 13, 2014 as presented. Moved by trustee Wittenberg, is there a second? Second by trustee O'Loughlin. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Any chair? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Questions or comments from the audience regarding agenda items only at this time? Hearing none, and I would like to introduce Dave Phillips of Spirit Financial. And Dave, I think you have a colleague with you tonight. You could identify him as well, please.
Yes, good evening, Mayor. Mark Giantina with our office is assisting me in the bond issue. He actually is doing the heavy lifting, so he does all the drafting of the
Mark,
official
welcome. We
statements.
appreciate having you here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Do you have some information for us?
Good evening. Congratulations on your recent successful referendum in trying to bring an update on the interest rates and the process that we'll be going through. This really mirrors pretty much the information that has been provided before, but is an update of the interest rates and the debt service schedule that is a 15-year model, and $8 fiscal impact, which is what my understanding had been considered. So we have not tried to anticipate any assessed value growth and, left the payments to be equal payments over time, so that payments would be around $225,000 a year with the model that is presented. So I wanted to kind of bring you up to date, and then as we look at the issue would be selling in a competitive environment. We'll be bringing bids back to you on May 8th, if I remember right, the date. And at that time, we'll be considering the award of the bond ordinance that would be prepared by bond counsel, and the adoption or the acceptance of the low bid at that juncture. So, open to answer any questions you might have. This is really a precursor to the street program that you're going to be much more interested in than the finance side, but at the same time, we want to keep you apprised of the financing and make sure that if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
I think we're interested in the financing part too, Dave.
Okay.
Just briefly, could you maybe just give us an idea of what we're looking at here on this, just run through it?
This is, in the official statement would present the social economic information about the community, and would present the debt service schedule that would be the $2.5 million between retiring between 2015 and 2029. You can see that interest rates in the municipal industry rise over time. They're not like a home mortgage. If you go to a 15-year mortgage, the bank will give you one number. In the municipal industry, each maturity has its own interest rate, because we could all be buying a different piece, and if I buy something short and you buy something longer, you would expect to get a higher rate of return, because there is a consumer price index adjustments every year, and you wouldn't expect that your value would go down, if you will, compared to the maturity in front of you. So there is a yield curve that's involved based on the security strength and the bond rating of the issuer. We're anticipating the being qualified A scale, and that would be something to be considered yet, or to be determined by the rating agencies that will go through an assessment of your finances and have an opportunity to ask questions of the mayor and Steve about the audits and what's going on in the community. They would then make a determination about the rating that they would present, and that rating is what is circulated in the market to have people be able to place these bonds into a category of other like securities. Looking at general obligation bonds in a category that they would be able to then price the bonds appropriately for their purposes. You'll take bids the morning of your board meeting, would bring those bids to you that evening with a recommendation that if it's appropriate to the market to accept that low bid, and the chairman of Cutler will then provide the bond ordinance that would be adopted. That levy in that bond ordinance would be placed on file with the county, and taxes will be extended and collected around that $225,000 a year level over the next 15 years. So with a level equalized assessed value at $133 million, we're not, again, anticipating any increase in that. If there is an increase in that equalized assessed value, then the tax impact on individual homeowners obviously reduce. We don't want in this environment to make any presumptions about either increasing values that we've been perception is that the housing market is at the, somewhat the trough of the loss of economic value and starting to recover. People, I think, of different minds have the opportunity to take different positions on that. But, you know, it seems that it's the perception, at least in the issuers that we talk with.
Dave, could I ask you to repeat again, the impact on the equalized assessed valuation, the assumption is that level of EAV over the life of the bond. If the EAV for our village goes up, what's the impact? And if it
The
goes
tax
down?
rate goes down because the dollar amount that you levy, that $225,000 a year, would stay the same. So if that equalized assessed value increases because we've added economic value of towns, that there's a lower share of, you know, each of the, within that equalized assessed value. So that tax rate would be reduced over time as that equalized assessed value rises.
Thank you. And the last column here on your handout talks about property taxes per $250,000 market value, assuming a 76,500 EAV.
That's 1/3 of the market value minus the homestead exemption of $6,000 for the people that own their own home.
And it's, it actually fluctuates a little bit over the course of the time period, but the first year 127.45 and then 129.26. And we had told the people that, and again, this is in connection with the bond referendum back in February, the estimate was about 128.08, so your figures in that column are almost right on to the penny with that.
And again, we hope that these are conservative interest rates in this model, so that we'd like to be able to show you this and then show you the end result as being better than this, you know, once the bids are taken and a low bidder is determined.
Trustees, any questions or comments?
Just one, maybe because I don't
Go ahead, Trustee
understand.
Wittenberg.
Why does it say Page County, Illinois? On the estimated cost?
That's my template, I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Trustee Michelle?
Yeah, Dave, thanks for the explanation on the EAV. So I want to take another step on what Rich asked. If the EAV goes up, I understand the tax rate percentage goes down,
That's right.
but that approximate 128 stays the same?
Again, it would go, that impact would go down a little bit for those, as your impact or your EAV increases, as the share of a $250,000 home is reduced with that increasing value. So the tax impact to the homeowner would, for a $250,000 home, would go down.
So the dollar amount would go down.
The dollar amount.
So if the whole village went up, and I know it never happens evenly, if it all goes up the same, and there are no new houses, don't they all have to be
Yeah,
about that 128 at the end?
if there's no new,
Construction?
if there's no new construction, yes. I mean, the people would, because then you're talking about it's somewhat of a closed circuit, and everybody's
Right.
share agreement.
So if we have a couple new houses a year, EAV on those assumed goes up,
Yes.
reducing everybody else
Yes,
a few pennies or whatever it is.
that's correct.
All right, I have one other question, and I appreciate this. Chief, how hard would it be to get a 10-year sheet out of curiosity? Is that something you could just plug in?
We can do that. The impact would be similar to what you had seen in the other model, with the fiscal impact being at 22 cents and $169 for that as opposed to the $128. So if there is a desire of the board to shorten that schedule, we're better to find that out soon rather than later, because we'll be taking bids on ultimately, a decision that is the majority of the decision of the trustees.
Okay, do you have a recommendation based on the interest rates now as to, let me strike that and rephrase it. Based on what we had previously published to our residents concerning the 10-year option, the 169.39, 15 years at the 128.08 to the 250,000. Does it appear to you that the numbers, if you were to run the 10-year time period as trustee Hinshaw requested or suggested, would the numbers come out pretty close to the 169?
Yes.
Similar to what you have presented to us with the 15 years at that 128?
That's correct.
Okay. So the interest rates, it sounds like based on what we were tentatively looking at back in January, February, there's not been a big change, at least to this point.
Right, we built enough cushion into the model to reflect, to try to take that, that it would be an accurate reflection of that, and that proofed out with the updating of the 15-year model based on interest rates as of March 21st.
And is your confidence the same in the 20-year if we were to ask them to extend it out?
Yes. There's been really a little bit more increase on the long end of the yield curve than on the intermediate level here. So, the market is somewhat betting that the market is going to, the interest rates are going to rise, and that you'll get more impact of that on the long end than you do in the intermediate area right now.
I think we have previously reached a decision on the board, subject to change, subject to information such as you are providing, to go with the 15-year payout. So let me ask the trustees, are you comfortable with that, or does somebody have a motion to make to change the term of the bond?
A question about that, I know we discussed it, and I'm going on my memory. Did we vote and agree 15? I think I remember the discussion being 15 the majority, but I don't know that I remember the vote or the agreement.
Well, I think the sense of the board, as I recall, was for the 15-year payout, subject to the fact that until we got down to where we have to make a decision, that we were going to focus on that. And I think we indicated that to some extent in the information we provided to the village in the February newsletter after the chart that was printed in there in smoke signals. We focused in on it. We said before and after the chart, as shown in the table, if you chose to pay the bond back in 15 years, here's the annual impact, 128.08. And then after the chart, as this shows 15-year payoff, for example, would cost the homeowner a little over $10 a month. So we kind of focused on it, Trustee Hinshaw, but I'm not here to say that we voted and agreed that that was going to be it. We wanted to see what it would be. But I think Mr. Phillips has indicated we're at the point now where we need to give them some direction, and I think they were operating from our assumption with 15 years. And having explained that, my position is the same as what I suggested back when we talked about this a few months ago, is to stay with the 15-year payout. But that's not a final decision, but I would call then for a motion to direct the financial advisors as to what length of time we want.
If there was a compelling reason that he could bring forward to look at the other options, I think we would be open to hearing that. I mean, if there was a financial reason, but I remember us voting and saying it was, the majority of us agreed that I thought it was 15 years, but I thought we had a caveat that if something happened during the bond process that would change that for whatever reason, like a rating difference, right? You're assuming we're gonna be an A rate, or if, let's say it didn't happen, and for some reason we couldn't do a 15, we had to do the 20 because the cost of money went up, or the bond market went up, we might be in a different situation, right? I think we said that. The bond market could change and we may be in a different situation. We might have to look at different options. But I don't think that's been the case, has it?
It has not.
Okay. So my feeling would be if the environment in the bond market hasn't changed, if our rating is going to be within the confines of what we think, our cost of money is going to be what we estimated, I think we all said 15. Unless there was a compelling reason from our professional's opinion that we shouldn't be looking at that. Because maybe there was a deal, right?
Well, I don't know that I agreed with 15, I believe 10, but I believe I'm in the minority, and I'm
Right.
okay being in the minority, but
Right.
I don't think we all agree with that.
That's fine, I understand.
And absent a motion to the contrary, then Dave, I think the board has previously expressed its majority opinion to stay with the 15-year ban. Okay? Is that the type of direction you need from us? Okay. Good.
I just have one other
Go
question.
ahead.
Is there, I've just heard a couple of things through the grapevine, I don't know if this is good information or not. Is there another option besides Standard & Poor's from a rating perspective?
Moody's is also involved in rating agencies. Fitch is also involved with
I'm just
rating.
thinking, in your mind, from a cost perspective, I know $8,200 isn't a lot of money when you look at this total, but, and also, I was under the impression that the electronic distribution of these would potentially negate any of the printing and postage and mailing, because this is a real-time
Mhm.
environment.
Right.
So is that not the case in this?
It is, actually, the cost of that official statement used to be when we had printed booklets,
Yeah,
almost $2,000 to print them and about $1,200 to mail them. So it has been reduced.
isn't it Edgar Online that you're using?
It is now online.
Yeah.
And the only question becomes one of whether the underwriter has the opportunity, if they so request, to get printed books after the sale, where the village would provide them. Or if you want village copies of, printed copies of a nicer booklet, as opposed to the electronic version, that, we're trying to leave some leeway in that. And that's not to say that you need to spend that, but,
Right, I just wanna
electronic
make sure-
copies.
We know that there's options available here, it just says printing, and, I understand the option of electronic, so if we could do that, we would probably prefer that unless someone asks for it to be
Yeah,
mailed.
which is why we put the lower number there, and saying that if you wanted it, it would be there from a budget line item. If you don't use it, obviously,
Thank you,
it's money saved.
thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Appreciate it.
Okay, Dave, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So the next step, Dave, I have one more question before you sit down. The next step is for you to go forward and prepare to go out for the bid for the bonds?
The rating.
Okay, the next step, and then, will we be in a position to take action at our May 8th board meeting?
Yes.
At something, and what would we be doing at that time?
There'd be two motions. One of them would be hopefully to accept the low bid of the bidders that had participated in the morning's sale. And the second thing would be the adoption of the bond ordinance that would formalize and place on file the levy for the collection of taxes over that next period of time.
Okay, thank you. Before we move to the next thing, Kathy, I'd just like the record to reflect that trustee Bailey had indicated to me a professional commitment that required him to be out of town tonight. Is the reason for this?